Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. I get so many questions about blush. What is the right tone for me? Where do I put it on my face? And what is the best brush to use? The works. So today we're boiling all of my thoughts and opinions on blush into one easy blush 101 video. So if that's something you're into, make sure to keep on watching and don't forget to subscribe because I upload every other day. And that'll be the best way to stay up to date on all the fun stuff I'm posting. So if you want to join me and my trusty Morphe E4 brush, the best blush brush there is, and talk all about blush today, stay tuned. All right, so I'm going to jump into a tutorial for my shape, which is an oval shape, but I do just want to go over a few different face shape blush placements. So I'm going to put an image up on the screen, and this is a really easy, foolproof method for making sure your blush looks good. So if your face is a little more round, obviously you want to avoid the apple of the cheeks because it'll make it look rounder. So if you have more of a square, the opposite is the truth, where you want to pull it closer to the apples to make it look a little bit more rounded. Now, because I'm oval, I do tend to go into the under cheek area and around the temple just to elongate the face and make it not look quite as round, and that's the way I like it. But it's really a lot about personal preference. Now, I'm going to jump into the tutorial and then we'll come back and I will talk through my top 6 favorite blushes, why I like the brush I like, and a little bit more on how to pick the color that's right for you. So for my face shape, what you can see is an oval. I like to concentrate any and all blush in this area right here, really highlighting just under the cheekbone, and I will take it all the way around the temple in this area. This will help to lift the face and add a little bit of a flush here, but because of the elongated oval shape I have, if I do anything too close to the cheeks, it will actually do the opposite effect and make my face look rounder. So I'm going to go into, I'm going to start, it's going to be a little bit of a brighter shade just so you can see what I'm talking about. This is the Aether Beauty Amber Cheek Palette. And I'm actually going to start with the lighter of the 2 shades right here, and I'm taking that on this brush. And the way I'm going to apply that is just like I said, I'm not on the apple of the cheeks, I'm right here pressing just under the cheekbone to lift the face. Notice how on this side, it looks like my cheekbone is higher than it is on the other side. And then once I get up here, I will take a little bit around the temple and in this area. And just look from one side to the other how much better it looks. It gives me a little bit more of a lift to the skin. It makes it a little bit more flushed, and it actually helps with a little bit of a more sculpted look where I don't have the bronzer. So again, I'm kind of going under the cheek and pressing up against the cheek. And then once the product is down, I will blend it up around the cheekbone and then into the temples, just to give myself that lifted appearance. And that made such a huge difference. Because of how rosy my cheeks naturally are, when I used to do my makeup, I actually used to skip blush because I thought I just spent all this time getting all of the rosiness out of my face. Why am I going to go and put blush back in? But like, you guys can see the difference when I don't have it on, how much of a difference it actually makes. So I'm going to actually layer a second blush on top. This one is from Patrick Ta. This is the shade She's Seductive. It's a little more mauve-y. And the reason I like to use this blush as a finishing blush is it's a little bit more of a neutral tone and it's a little bit glowier. So notice how when I put that on top, it gives more of that sheen to the cheek. Plus, and this is the best part, it helps to neutralize the warmth of that first tone because I like a rosy blush more than I like a super warm blush. And that first was a very, very pinky tone. So this is just, for me, a better tone. And I know this video isn't about highlight, but while I'm here, I'm going to add a little bit just because. I'm going to take, this is from Aether Beauty. This is the Supernova Crushed Diamond Highlighter. I'm going to grab a flat brush, and this is why you want to make sure your blush goes where it is, because you'll see I went under the cheekbone and I didn't go up to the cheekbone. So taking this fan brush, I am going to take this around this orbital bone and over the cheek, and where they meet, I will actually go in with my blush brush with whatever product is still on there, and I will blend that over and into the highlight so that the whole thing melts together and it just looks like one really beautiful glowy cheek and not a stripe of highlighter on the face. And you see how easy that was? And it just gives this beautiful ethereal glow to the cheeks and everything just looks really glowy. And then since I am highlighting, I'll throw that in all of the other places I like to add highlight. And again, anything you do on the cheek, just press that blush back up so you don't lose any of that rosiness. Okay, so going into a little bit more about color selection. As you guys see, like I have used orangey blushes and reddy blushes and more maroons and mauves and the works, and it's all personal preference. But I personally find for my skin tone, this rosiness is kind of where I go. So I already showed you two of my favorites in the tutorial part, which is the Patrick Ta blush, which is a little dark for me if I'm being completely honest, and the Aether, which is a beautiful formula. But if I'm doing anything cool toned on the eyes like I did today, it tends to be a little too warm, so I tend to have to move something a little more mauve-y in. Now when you do a shade like this, you'll notice that it is very rosy with a nice little illumination to it. That is super flattering on all skin types, but it's very neutral. So it's a very good chance if you use that on its own, it might not even look like you have much blush on, which for those of you who don't love the way I do, like a blushy look, it might work for you. But if you're looking for something a little more intense, the Aether palette, you know, this shade right here, is definitely a more pinky peachy tone. It looks more red in the pan, but on the skin, it definitely reads more of that, you know, soft, pearlescent pink, peachy tone that does warm up the skin quite nicely, which is why I mixed those two shades today. Now, what I love most about both of these blushes is that they are super skin-like. It doesn't look like it's sitting on top of your skin, and they blend really beautifully into highlighter, and I love a blush that has a little bit of a glow to it. You saw that this has more of a sheen, so this is more of a glowy, dewy finish, whereas the Aether blushes, I will say, are a little more of a satin finish. They're a little bit of a glow, they're a little skin-like, they're not like a matte formula, but they don't have as much glow as the ones I'm about to talk about now. Favorite number 3 comes from Lunar Beauty. This is the Moon Prism Blush Palette. I love these tones because, again, just like the Aether, they're all satin formulas that have a little bit of sheen to them, but it's not shiny. But it does have this beautiful topper soleil that I think just amps all blushes up a little bit. And you could use it as a highlighter, but it reminds me a lot of the NARS Orgasm blush, just that really pretty pinky golden duochrome effect. This formula is also beautiful, and I love that there is not a single shade in this palette I can't use. Even the darkest shade, you'll notice, is not that far off from the Patrick Ta shade. It's a little bit darker, but because it's a little bit more of a sheen and sheer pigment, even though it looks like it's a lot, once you blend it out on the skin, it is a much softer look that it's not going to look over the top on you. I have one more powder blush, and then I'm going to talk about the only 2 cream blushes that I can honestly say are like my go-tos. Now, the blush book from Tarte is my favorite blush palette, if you will, because it is 10 shades, 2 highlighters, 4 blushes, all in one place. I love the Amazonian clay formula, and the only issue I have with this is that it was a limited edition holiday set because you can't get this anymore. You can still get the Tarte blushes. They sell them individually, and they do every holiday come out with, you know, a 3 or 4 or 6 shade palette, but this 10 shade palette was hands down my favorite. All right, for my 2 cream blushes, the first is the Beauty For Real Coral Crush Cream Blush. I think that this Blush and Glow stick is beautiful. It has a highlighter on the other side, and what I like most about this is you can use it as blush, and because of the formula, you can also take it on your eyes as eyeshadow, and you can use it as a lip because it's a very balmy, hydrating formula. I think it's really pretty on the skin, and it's one of those tones that's flattering on a lot of different colors and tones and shade. It's one of those shades that is flattering on a whole wide variety of skin tones, and I love the way it applies and it wears. The second of my cream picks is from Rare Beauty. This is the Nearly Neutral Blush, and it is also one of those beautiful rosy tones. You're starting to get the hint of the colors I like. Now, I know there's going to be that person watching who's going to be like, but what happened to the Natasha Denona palette you were loving? I do love the Bloom palette, and this is really pretty. But I have to go in with such a small amount on a sponge and shear it out so much that honestly, I think I would have to say that it is a great product if you have it. But if I was looking to pick up a blush for the price, I think I would have to go with the other two cream formulas over this one. But it is still a beautiful blush. So if I had to like, you need a blush, I would probably keep this in the rotation, and I do use it pretty frequently. I just don't love it quite as much as the other two. Now, when it comes to selecting the shade that works best for you, something to consider is balancing your eye look. So today I'm using a more mauve-y, which is a cooler toned lip color, with a blue, super cool toned eye. So for me, I wanted a little bit of warmth from the blush, but I didn't want it to be so warm that it felt like out of place, which is why I blended the two colors I did. It gives me a little bit of that mauviness so it matches the lip, but a little bit of extra warmth so that my skin doesn't look gray. The biggest issue you can run into when you're working with your blush tones is your skin looking gray because you're using either not the right color of blush or you're not using enough of it. So you really want to make sure you're using the right combination of colors for your skin type. Now, I've seen a million different types of brushes, and there are people who like, a flatter brush, or they'll even use something that's like a powder brush and pull it over the cheeks. The reason I like the E4 from Morphe is because of the shape. It cups the cheek nicely, so I can really get the heavy amount of blending under my cheek, but the bristles up here are still gonna blend over where I put my highlighter so that it doesn't look like stripe of blush, stripe of bronzer, stripe of highlight. It all kind of melts together to be one. I do, and you guys know, I do usually like to take a little bit of setting spray, go over the cheek with it, and then with my sponge, just kind of press everything together, just to kind of emphasize that fact that it is one skin and not three different colors striped together. And that really does help to melt it in. But I do notice if you're using the right brush and the right blush, you really don't have a problem with that. Now, hopefully I answered all of your questions. If I didn't, drop it down below. I will be happy to answer any of your blush concerns in the comment section. Let me know if you have any questions. And also, give me some shout outs of some of your favorite blushes because I would love to hear what your top picks are. Thank you guys again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.